Hey, this is Jill Ciminillo with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and today we have the two-door Bronco, and we've already actually covered the heck out of the Bronco. So what I want to do in this review is talk about how it does on a road trip. We're getting ready to go to Indianapolis, and let's see how things actually fit and how the drive is. So let's take a closer look right now. All right, so first up, let's load the luggage. And as you know, the door swings out wide, and then this opens up. So we have a decent amount of cargo space back here. Let's see how a couple of rollerboards and backpacks fit. I think that'll shut. All right, so the gear fit. Let's see how the drive is. All right, so we are only about an hour into this drive, and I feel like it's time to do a little bit of a check-in because I don't know if you can hear this, but this road noise is pretty flipping awful, and I feel like I'm yelling. I probably don't have to be yelling because the microphone is right here, but I can't hear myself, so I feel like you can't hear me. Had to make a phone call, put it over the Bluetooth system, and had to like crank up the volume, and it was really loud, and I could still barely hear the person on the other end of the line. So that is a major negative in the road trip category, because I'm going to be dealing with this road noise for 3+ hours there and 3+ hours back, and even just having a conversation with my front passenger is going to be tough. So yeah, this wind noise, not good at all. I'll see you for the next checkpoint where we're probably going to be talking about fuel economy. So I'll see you in hopefully not a minute. Hopefully it's a couple of hours. Hopefully it's after we've got to the location, but we'll find out. So check in soon. All right, the first leg of our trip is achieved, and we have reached our destination. I just wanted to do another quick check-in on fuel economy because I was a little bit concerned that maybe we would have to stop for gas, but we didn't. And I still have 59 miles of range left. And just so you know, this has the 2.7 liter EcoBoost engine, so that's a V6. It's made it to the 10-speed automatic transmission, and traveling pretty much the entire way highway. We had probably about 10-15 miles at the beginning of surface streets, but mostly highway. We were averaging 16.9 miles per gallon. So fuel economy, I mean, not great, but probably what you'd expect for a vehicle of this size. So, all right, next check-in coming up. So we are now on the other side of the road trip, and I'm getting about 16.7 miles per gallon. So we fueled up once. I'm just above a quarter of a tank. I've gone just under 400 miles total. So I feel like I have a pretty good idea of how this is going to handle on a road trip. And the first thing I want to say is anything over about 65 miles an hour is really hard with the wind noise. So you can't hear you can't hear anything. You can't hear your passenger. You can't hear somebody if you're trying to talk on the phone. You can't hear the music. It's just not great. So outside of the wind noise issue, how is this for a road trip? Actually, it's pretty good. The adaptive cruise control works fairly well, and the lane keep assist is nice without being overly aggressive. So that is also another huge bonus point. The one thing that I will point out, though, is this does not have adaptive cruise control, or at least this model doesn't have the adaptive cruise control that goes all the way down to a stop and then allows you to go back up. So if you're in stop-and-go traffic, rush hour traffic, the cruise control shuts off exactly when you want it to kick in. So that isn't ideal. But everything else is really good. The seats are really comfortable. The HVAC works really well. The heated seats are great. The heated steering wheel is also really good. So the two black marks that this car gets in terms of taking a road trip is going to be the adaptive cruise control, which turns off, and the wind noise. But other than that, I'm giving this a pretty decent thumbs up in terms of ride and handling for a road trip. So since we haven't seen a two-door model, we want to go away from a road trip now, and we're just going to do a quick walk around of the vehicle and check it out. All right, now that we are done with the road trip, let's take a quick look at the exterior of this two-door Ford Bronco. And the first thing you're going to notice is it definitely looks a little bit beefier and pretty tall, actually. And that's going to be because this is the Wild Track trim, which is meant to be a little bit more off-roady, and then it adds the Sasquatch package. So Sasquatch package means that you've got these really beefy 35-inch tires along with these attractive gloss black 17-inch wheels. You're going to have a higher clearance suspension as well as higher clearance fenders. So definitely meant to go off-road and be more of an adventure vehicle than an off-road vehicle. But here's the thing. To get to your adventure, you're probably going to have to take it on road at some point to get there. And I'm probably giving this a little bit of a harsh criticism because probably for everyday driving, it's mostly okay. But if you're going to drive more than 70 miles an hour on the highway for long stretches of time, you might get annoyed with that wind noise, just like I did. All right, so you have standard LED lights. You're going to have, your skid plates underneath to protect the engine, transmission, all that good stuff. And you have some roof rails here, so if you needed to put anything on top, you could totally do that. But before we go inside and take a look, I want to check out the one thing that is kind of interesting and could be a problem, maybe, I don't know, with the two-door model, and that is getting into this second row. Okay, first things first, I should point out this is my driving position. So this is in a little bit more of a far forward position, which in theory might make it a little bit easier to get in. And I'll be honest, I have not tried to get in the back seat yet, so let's see how this goes. All right, you have this right here, which pushes this forward, and it also then will push the seat forward a little bit. I mean, you have a decent opening, so I would say this is akin to if you were trying to get into the third row from a four-door vehicle, so a third row seat. So, handy little running board here to step into, and then, all right, so that wasn't egregious, but you're gonna have to readjust this seat a lot. You know what? It actually just popped back into my driving position. So, okay, that's not awful. I don't know that I would want to put passengers back here all the time, but it's certainly doable. And those seats are actually pretty comfortable. Now, let's take a look at the inside. As you enter the vehicle, you get a couple of interesting infographics, starting there and carrying over here with the cool little Bronco that forms from rocks to steel, and then you have the night sky, which if you watch long enough, you'll get a shooting star, and it's kind of cool. But let's power it up. All right, so you've got the nice little Ford ding, ding, ding chimes at the beginning, and then you'll notice you have a small digital display with an analog speedometer. So I liked this. I thought it worked pretty well during a road trip, and it showed me what I needed to see in terms of fuel economy, which, again, not great, as well as speed, and so I thought that was good, sufficient, attractive, but I'll be honest, I liked the infographic more than pretty much anything else. All right, so then you have your Sync 4 with your different touchscreen options down here. It does have wireless Android Auto and CarPlay. So I'm not synced right now through the system, but it does have both wireless and CarPlay and Auto, which I think is great. You don't get a full screen as far as I've discovered. So you get some different things in this menu here, but it never actually goes away. It's always there. So if you're going to look at navigation, it doesn't take up the full screen. It takes up like 2/3 of the screen. So I don't know. I think that's fine, but I would prefer it to be able to take up the whole screen. But wait. Ah, there you go. Woohoo! Mischief managed. Okay, so you can get it to do the full screen, and then if you want the navigation or this little side menu back, which, you know, again, it can show if you've got your phone, your audio, your zone lighting. So it shows you some different things over there. So it's kind of cool to have them both, but when you're just driving, you probably just want to see, I don't know, the map. All right, so I think that works pretty well. I used Apple CarPlay, and it didn't seem like there was any lag or any time between when I would press the buttons and when it would operate, so I thought that was good. And then you have your wireless charging, and I will say I used Waze all the way down to Indianapolis and left my phone on the phone charger, and my phone didn't die. Sometimes that's not the case. If you're using a program and then you are wireless charging, there isn't enough of a charge that's coming from the wireless charging pad to keep your phone active. So that was definitely a bonus in terms of the road trip arena. Okay, so because this is a Wild Track model, you do not get leather seats. I panned for a second, and you get this nice cloth seating surface, and I like it, frankly, because, by the way, you get heated cloth seats, and if you like heated seats like I do, cloth heated seats are the best ones out there. You do not get cooled seats. There are no cooled seats here. It's just heated. But, you know, since it's currently winter in Chicago, I'm not bothered by that. You do have dual climate control. My husband certainly appreciated that, because I typically, you know, jack my heat up like that, and he, you know, typically does that. So I thought it worked pretty well, but as you can see, I don't know if you can hear that, but that's pretty loud. So in addition to this lovely road noise that you're going to experience, these fans are also really loud. So there's a lot of noise that's happening in this vehicle, is basically the end of that story. But overall, I really like how the interior of the Bronco looks. You have your front and rear lockers and some of your off-road controls up here. You have some more like cool little toggle switches here. I haven't been able to test them or see what they do, but they look cool. And this vehicle does have the hardtop removable roof. I'm hesitant to actually try and remove it myself, because 90-pound female here, and I'm currently not in Chicago at home, so I could see myself taking them off and then not being able to get them on, and then not knowing what to do. But it does have sound deadening materials, which we saw didn't work very well. And I will point out that there were a couple of times that I got into the vehicle and it had moisture on the outside, and things were dripping from here. So I know that's been an issue with these tops, and Ford is working through it. This is a pre-production model. So this hasn't been fixed yet, but if you're going to buy something with a hard top, make sure that's been fixed. That's what I want to say about that. So I should also point out, this is a 12-inch screen. So this is a pretty large screen that you've got in this Wild Track Bronco, and like I said, it works well, it looks good, and I think the system is pretty fast as well. So you do also, in addition to the wireless charging, you have USB-C and USB-A charge ports. You have it there, and then interestingly, you have another USB-C, USB-A charge port here. And you know, that's to go with if you have this accessory, the camera mount, then you can plug it into there while it's on top. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing. This does have the B&O sound system, and I liked it. I will be honest with you, I'm not an audiophile, but I liked it. It certainly was mostly loud enough to cover up the wind noise, so that was a good thing. And one other thing I want to point out before I wrap this up is you have your G.O.A.T modes here, and when you change your modes, so you turn the dial, you get the little graphic here that shows you what's going on in terms of which mode you are in. So that's kind of cool. I like the graphics. I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to graphics, so I appreciate that. And then I also want to point out, again, because this is the Wild Track model, you do get the 360-degree camera. So you get the camera here, so that's facing forward because I just hit this button, and then you get the around view here. If I put it into reverse, then obviously this changes to the rear view, but you still have the around view here. So the one thing I do wish it would do is that if I were parallel parking, every time you change your gear, if it comes on when you're in reverse, but as soon as you go to forward, it turns off again. So, and then you have to hit the button. So I don't know. I just wish it would stay on. And then finally, the last thing I want to point out is you have some of your controls for your windows here. So to open your windows, it's on your armrest area, and then to change your mirrors, it's also on the armrest, and that is because these doors come off. So even though they do have the lock unlock function here, these doors come off and your mirrors stay on. So the mirror adjustment is just here underneath your armrest. So I don't know. Overall, I like the way that this looks a lot. At the end of the day, I really love how the two-door Bronco looks, and I kind of like how it drives. I mean, the seats are comfortable, I've got great visibility, but that wind noise. Here I am on surface streets, and it's not that bad, but as soon as you get out on the highway and you're going to go any more than like 55, 65 miles an hour, you know what, maybe bring your Bose noise-canceling headphones. Because I think that wind noise and the tire noise that creeps in would get a little bit old after a while. But I don't know. It's a trade-off. You know what you're getting with this vehicle, and it's just really flippin' cool. So that's all I got, and I just want to say thank you for watching, and make sure you check us out on the web at pickuptrucktalk.com. And yeah, I'll see you down the road.